This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
Always Scum. Rebel Scum.
Rebel Scum.
The rebellious of rebels. Hi.
Hello. What a time to be alive, James. We got to talk about the TV event of the week. Return of the Zillow Beast. Did you watch it?
What are you talking about? I'm gonna move myself off of the camera for a second, Brock. What's the Zillow Beast?
Zillow Beast is a creature from Clone Wars that is now in Bad Batch. That thing that the fans have been pining for. Oh boy. Wow.
I know, it's finally happening. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I got Zillow Beast tattooed on my ass 3.5 years ago.
You were ahead of your time. No, we're not going to talk too much about Bad Batch. One, because you haven't really watched any of this episode. And whatever. I did watch the episode, and I was like, oh, that's that monster from Clone Wars. I'm like, okay. But more importantly,
your false enthusiasm.
Yeah. Season 3, Episode 1, Chapter 17 of Mandalorian is back. It has dropped. We have not even spoken about it, but man, what a time. What a time to be alive. I don't know what your thoughts are, so I'm just going to let you talk, James.
Yeah, so what happened was we were supposed to record yesterday, but you had an engagement in the evening, and I couldn't watch it with enough time to watch it and discuss it. So we were like,
our engagements overlapped.
Yeah. but it was like, whatever, it is what it is. So I watched. It took me all day. I finally got to sit down and watch it. And then you asked me if I'd seen it, and I said yes, but I don't want to talk to you about it. Yeah. You couldn't because I haven't seen it. And I said, it would be more raw and honest if we did it for the first time.
Yeah, true, very true.
But preface that by saying I asked you earlier in the day to tell me how long the episode was.
Oh, yeah.
Because depending on the length, we can make people finagle things. And I thought with the 38-minute runtime, it would be possible. Was not. Whatever. We move on. Yeah. We're adults. It happens. I didn't go on Twitter at all during the day, and I felt cleansed. It was nice. I couldn't because the minute you go on it, it's like so. Spoilers for episode 1, season 3, chapter 17 of The Mandalorian for everybody watching.
Oh yeah.
So 25, 27 minutes into this episode.
Yeah.
In my mind, I go, oh, I love this show. Not just the episode, the show, the whole show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just like it. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying every second of it. But I'm just gonna say I have one negative gripe about the episode. I'm gonna say right now, and it's gonna sound so weird coming from me. And I said it on the short reel that I did yesterday.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
It just kind of ended. It just kind of stopped. And it was the first time for me in the 3 seasons where I know they've been short episodes, but this was the first time I was like, oh, it didn't feel short. It felt incomplete in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And even Erin, I was watching with Erin, and she was like, oh, that's it. She kind of felt underwhelmed by the ending. Mm-hmm. And I know the episode. And here's my thing. We talked about this a lot with Andor, because I think Andor played to this, and I think Boba Fett too, where it's the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian were very episodic.
Yeah.
But when you're going down this path, it's almost like, why just drop them all at once? Because now it's it didn't feel, to me, that was my one thing, is when it ended, it didn't feel complete. Obviously, I'm watching the entire season, so
yeah.
whatever. But like that's my one gripe with it would have been that.
It's true. Like I didn't have the exact same thought, but I had a similar where it's like, oh, this could have been way longer. Like I was in immediately.
Yeah.
No, like as we talked, I was just thinking like perhaps this is like Filoni and Favreau saying, okay, if you didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, we've clearly pointing out that like stuff has happened, so maybe you need to go and watch that 2.5 hours that those 3 episodes are, or whatever it is. We'll wait. You go, because it's like, yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say they still kind of summed that up in this episode.
Yeah. No, absolutely, I agree. Like even if you're coming into this fresh, I think I thought of this earlier today because of spoilers. Purgles are in this freaking episode. But like besides that point, it's like even if you don't know the backup, it's like they've explained what's happened. It's like this happened, they're still together, and now this is what the show is going to be about. It's going to be about them becoming Mandalorians again and whatever. And obviously there feels like there's a lot more to that storyline. I think it's going to be really rich. So super excited.
It looks like there's going to be a lot going on, and it's only however many episodes, like 7, 8 episodes, whatever it is. There's so much going on. Yeah, but at the same time, if they only need that many to get through it, that's all you need, right? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen that. We can't judge the episode numbers until we get there.
And like Favreau has already said to, like this week, and like it's nothing clarified, but it's sort of saying like, yeah, there might be more, or maybe it was Bob Iger also said, or I don't know. It says like, oh, perhaps there'll be more than 4 seasons of Mandalorian. Like I seem to see a lot of that.
And
but
people are freaking out.
Going back to what you said about like 25 minutes in, you're like, this episode, the show it's awesome, it's fun, this feels great. I love this show. It's true. And like maybe I watched this at like 5:30 in the morning because I'm watching this episode before I have to get ready for work. And I've said this before, there's nothing more fun than sitting in the dark watching the show or any of like the things that Disney Plus drops. But anyways, when he goes to Navarro pretty much in the first 10 minutes of the show, it's like he's walking into town and I'm like, all this stuff is happening and everything's bright and colorful and everyone's happy and there's all these different types of people and there's like quaxian monkeys in the trees and like it just looks good. It's like it's fun. And I'm like, and I was just like, yeah, it's like coming home. It's like it's honestly that was like the vibe of going to the Galaxy's Edge. It's like, yeah, we're here. And then he meets Grief and he's like, wow, you really moved up in the world. And he's like, and he's like, yes, and I've changed Navarro. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not the Navarro we're used to. Like this is a cleaned up Navarro. I was like, whew, I didn't even like I was just like feeling the show and not thinking about, oh, where are we right now? I was like, that's pretty good. Maybe I'm just dumb, but like,
well, it was nice because it had all the little elements of Navarro in there, but like you said, like a cleaner version of it.
Yeah, I was just like, wow. And then I was like, oh, they could totally put like they could renovate a part of Galaxy's Edge if they ever expanded it and make it look like Navarro. I know Galaxy's Edge is a different planet, but then of course in a genius marketing swoop, Mando and Grogu are now walking around the park.
That was my one thing when they're releasing Galaxy's Edge. Like, great, like it's going to be based on the sequel trilogy, fine. But then they were like, hey, why would you contain it to a time? I know you want it to be like. You want to be immersed. You want to feel, but then like you can't grow. And Star Wars is going to grow. And it's going to expand past the sequel trilogy. For even the people that like absolutely love the sequel trilogy, and that's what Star Wars is. Eventually, there's going to be new Star Wars, whether it's Mandalorian or Boba Fett or Andor or Ahsoka or Celtic or Acolyte. Like even Acolyte is like if Acolyte becomes the greatest thing to happen to Star Wars. Now you've got to go back 200 years, 100 years. So that was the one thing I always, and I've never been there, so I'm not actually knocking Galaxy's Edge. I just thought it was an odd choice to like, and I completely understand why Bob Iger was like, let's not make this original trilogy, which was the original plan. Let's make it a sequel trilogy. I totally get that, but making it take place in between like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, it's such a strange choice. But we have a super chat from Red Wolf back after years. Hope you guys are well. You rock. Thank you so much, Red Wolf. Thank you for your support. It's been a long 2 years with COVID, especially taking everybody out of everything. Great to have you back here. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And we got Heidi right after that. The pirates' mistake was that they went to the elementary school for a drink. They should have gone to the high school. I don't know why I read that. I got like
the executive producer screwed us again. But no, let's talk about the pirates. Like, is it just me, or is like the prosthetics for like the aliens just getting better and better? Like that vein.
Yeah.
Like it looks so good. His like the way his face moved, I was like, wow.
But did he not look like a flat-nosed version of that blue dragon from the Muppets? I want you to pull up the blue dragon from the Muppets, because all I could see, I don't know that dragon's name. He's been around forever. I don't know that dragon's name. He was like, to me, that's what it was. Heidi says she has COVID. Give her a break. We give you a break. I'm just joking. It was a good joke. But no, the prosthetics were fantastic. I agree with you, Brock. But I couldn't see past that. The dragon guy from the Muppets. I love that Muppet character, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, the Muppets. The Muppets are the best. What was I gonna say? But then, like this new villain pirate, like that's just straight out of like Filoni's like brain from like Clone Wars or Rebels. I was just like, that looks awesome. Like it's that's like one of those times where they bring in a new alien, and I'm like, yeah, that's sick. That's awesome. Oh man, so good.
So now that I'm like a failed TikToker, I scroll that app quite frequently. I'm like, oh, and like lately there's been a lot of Jon Favreau and Pedro Pascal on the like interviews, because I've kind of weeded out TikTok where I only get pizza and Jon Favreau. That's like the two things. Like, so that's like, cool. Because well, before it was very disgusting, but now I weeded out. So anyway, but the thing that's cool is I've been sending you a bunch of them. I don't know if you look at them or not, because I send you too many.
Without audio, so I don't get the full experience.
Okay, well, yeah. So, but one of the ones, I don't know if I sent this or not, it's Favreau and Filoni sitting down, and they're just kind of talking. They're like, well, yeah, but Yoda says Luke is the last Jedi. Yeah, but Ahsoka's running around. And they kind of have this banter back and forth. And then Favreau kind of stops and goes, this is what we do all day. This is what they pay us to do. We're like kids in the cafeteria bouncing these ideas, and they just debate these things. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So to your point, that's probably how it came about. Was they were probably having one of those stupid conversations, and Filoni was like, pirates! And then Jon Favreau was like, should we put Hondo in it? And because these pirates are going to die, so it couldn't be Hondo. Hello, Disney. Yeah, I mean, these pirates are dead meat, right? Like they're not going to last long. One of them
it looks so awesome. I'm like super excited to get that more storyline than that for sure. That blue dragon is named Ugly Uncle Deadly, by the way.
Uncle Deadly, that's right. Yes. That's you're gonna go back and watch it. The rest of the season's ruined because you're like, well, he looks like the Blue Muppet.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't remember what I was gonna say. The show was great. Like, what did you think of that opening sequence with all the Death Watch? Yes, right?
Yeah. Yes. So I thought that was a lot of fun. Heavy is my favorite. Everyone knows I love Heavy. I have the Heavy Funko Pop. I would like the Black Series, but I am not made of money, and I've never seen it in the wild either. I love Heavy. I really like the sequence. We're clearly going back to that sequence later in the show. Not that exact sequence, but a variation of that later on, because it's in the trailer. I've seen people speculating, Brock. Tell me what you think of this. People listening, you put Uncle Dudley on the behind you.
He looks more
Anyway.
like a crate dragon anyway. Anyways, yeah, no,
Yeah,
sorry to cut
oh
you
no,
off there.
squish the nose. Anyway, so that the boy that's getting helmeted, putting into knighthood or whatever,
Yeah.
is the foundling or child of Heavy, because Heavy was like there are kind of emotional connections with Heavy and that child. And I thought, oh, that's intriguing. I don't know if that's how it's going to play out or not, but I want to know what you think of that.
See, like that, I love that opening because you're like, oh, like, what time period is this, right? Like, is this young Din Djarin? What's going on? I mean, once you see sorry, Paz Vizsla. Once you see Paz Vizsla, you're like, oh, it's probably. But you're like, oh, and then inevitably, Mando shows up. Like, that's crazy. That it looks so real. Like, it's like, and I love that about Mandalorians. We're like, yeah, we're gonna do this stuff in this water that we could all just die, but like, it looks so good. You know what? It's like Crate Dragon was pretty good. What if we did a gator turtle? Like, okay.
I mean, they hit it right when Cocaine Bear came out, so they were right on that. They know they're. But look, the thing is when you watch Star Wars, you're like, why do I watch Star Wars?
Yeah.
And I think, and this is it, and I was excited for it, and it's not knocking what's come before it at all, but I mean, when I watch Star Wars, I want to watch the fun stuff, and this gave me some of the fun stuff. Yeah. And that's what I'm here for. Also, Baby Yoda. Like, the minute he showed up, I was like, wow, right, I'm in. Let's go. Yeah. What's going on, Baby Yoda?
And you know what? Kudos to them actually make reference to Cara Dune, and it's like you're like she's not gone, she's somewhere else. So it's, I mean, I guess that is, she's gone, but like, it's like, yeah, we don't need to write it off. And like, now, of course, like, oh, because I believe somebody said something about that whole thing this week, so it's like, oh, maybe she can come back, and like, yeah, sure, why not? It's Hollywood. They're fickle, whatever. Like,
yeah, but yeah, next week the cancel culture will go up. They'll bring her back, and they'll go. Look, I have never gone down that rabbit hole of what she said or did or anything, so I don't care. Yeah. It was Cara Dune. Maybe she'll show up in a book. Because the thing that was funny though is when you hear Grief Karga's like explanation of where she is. Yeah. It sounded like the Rangers of the New Republic show that they were mentioning. Yeah. I was like, are they just like going with what they were going with, but we're never going to see it? And before we would have, that's what I got from them. Like, oh, it sounds like they're still sticking with the same game plan on it. I'm sure she would have shown up in Mandalorian and that show at this whatever, but to me, it sounded like they were just like, let's pretend that show's happening in an alternate reality, which it probably is in the multiverse of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Well, what are your thoughts about IG-11 coming back?
So I heard this rumor like a year ago, and I was like, that's okay. I honestly, I don't know, because I mean, no one's dead in Star Wars, obviously. So I don't really know. I liked IG-11, but I don't know. I don't know. I have to wait till it plays out, because I thought it was kind of it was odd. I did think it was a little odd when he was like, I need that droid, but you didn't even know that droid was a statue. Like, did he? Until he got, like, I don't remember. Like, I don't think he knew that. So I thought that was a little odd, but I don't know. I got to see how it plays out. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it was sort of like, but wait, I was like, didn't they put like metal around him? How is he? They just like bronzed him and like, there you go. But yeah, no, it's exciting. It's just like, he's like a robot or puppet robot that's like half put together. It's like, and it's moving around like it's real. Like, ooh,
it was Chucky. It was a scene out of Chucky.
Yeah. But yeah,
you haven't seen Chucky.
What, the show or the movie?
The first movie, like the first movie.
Oh, the first movie.
Oh,
yeah.
I got to apologize to everybody that's coming in late, Dale especially, because the Patreon was set for 8:35, which is when the show was set for. But then we went early, and I couldn't adjust the Patreon because I'm on a different computer. I'm on a computer that works for live streaming, So I couldn't adjust the time. But that's why the timing was all off on this one because I could not adjust it. Don't blame me. Blame technology.
Most people do, especially in my job. We saw the return. Is it official that Babu Frick is in this show? He is one of those reverends, like.
I think it's just his species.
Okay, cool. Not that it matters. Because it is Shirley Henderson voicing. I did my usual thing and I looked at all the voices or the credits. So I was like, who plays the Pirate King? And I'm like, oh, that guy. That's awesome. But yeah, so like I love that. Did you like that they included this? Like, or do you feel like this is just a grab for cutesy?
No, this is okay. So this is where I think I differ from other Star Wars fans, possibly my age and more bitter. And I'm a very bitter individual. My wife tells me all the time. But I feel like I said this with Andor. Like I love Andor, and even the Last Jedi. Actually, all the sequels. I love them, but sometimes it's like just embrace the nonsense within. And this show is getting flack now because people are stupid AF. But like embrace Star Wars, and that's what it's doing. And so yeah, if they're going to fix the droid, and you have a weird creature that everybody loves that fixes droids, throw that creature in the show. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Do it, just do it, and that's what I like about it. And that's not a knock on Andor or Last Jedi or the sequels.
No.
It's just I wish I kind of sometimes I'm like, oh, why aren't there more like Canto Bite? I kind of wish there was like a hammerhead in there. You know what I mean? Like I wish. I mean, maybe a hammerhead doesn't have the funds to get to Canto Bite. I don't know. I'm just saying I wish there was more recognizable creatures. So when you have the opportunity to do it, just do it. Just that's how Saw Gerrera got put into Rogue One because I believe Gary Whitta in one of the drafts wrote it, and like Pablo Hidalgo or someone was like, "Oh, we have that character," and they just shoved that name on. Then just do it. You have to do it.
Absolutely. I thought it was great. Like just like the return of like concept art at the end of the credits of the show. Like have they ever put out like the Art of Mandalorian book like they did with the show?
I don't think so. Andrew's very better. They might have done the first season, but I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't think they have. Andrew's very bitter on the lack of books, and there are a lot of lack of.
Oh, here we go. Art of Star Wars: The Mandalorian Season 2. Interesting. Season 1 and Season 2.
Right, and it's a picture of Mando on it, I believe.
Yeah.
That really narrows it down. That's how you know I know my Star Wars. The book has a picture of the main character on it.
Yeah, this is cool. I always talk about these books, but I never buy them. But it's genius. Like it's amazing how quickly anything like this you can market like immediately. So it's sort of funny when like Andor and I guess Boba Fett. Oh no, I get like or not. Yeah, definitely Boba Fett. But I was gonna say Mando, but like Grogu's just everywhere. But like you don't really see merchandise for that per se. Like definitely not Obi-Wan outside of like the robot. What was the robot's name in Obi-Wan?
I don't know, but I always think it's O'Shea Jackson playing him because that was the rumor going into it, but it's not. I don't. Oh, Ned. It was a Ned.
Yes.
Alexa, what's the droid's name in Obi-Wan Kenobi? Not gonna have any idea.
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, R4C17 was an astromech droid assigned to Obi-Wan.
No, R4.
No.
That's the movie, dum-dum. Good call, though. R4. Like, if you say, what's Obi-Wan's droid? R4,
Lola. Thank you, Disney Desi.
Oh, you meant Lola? I thought you meant the big one that didn't talk. The silent Bob.
Oh, yeah. That we were hoping for
Lola.
way more. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Lola. O'Shea Jackson was never playing Lola. I've got to set the record.
I thought that was pretty cool.
It would be awesome.
Do it.
Yeah, Lola.
O'Shea Jackson, Cocaine Bear. Boom. There's the connection.
That's right.
Him
and Han Solo are in it.
That's right. But yeah, no, this episode, I'm like, it could have been like an hour and a half. It was what, 38 minutes. It could have been 90 minutes. I would have loved every second of it. But I'm trying to think of what else happened in it that was pretty sweet. Constantly I was like, when are we gonna get to Pelimoto? But I'm like, they're on Navarro. She's on Tatooine. I'm like, oh yeah.
I thought they were going to Tatooine though, because when he's like, I gotta get that part, I was like, oh well, we know who's going to be able to get that part. It's Pelimoto. So I imagine that's where they're going to get. They're obviously ending up there. She's in the trailer. But I wonder if Grief Karga is going to bite it in this season. I wonder if the pirates are going to get him. They seem more after Mando towards the end, but it's like I don't know how. Like this show is like the first season is like we're going to kill Quill and we're going to kill IG-11. You're like, okay. But since then it's kind of been like, we're not going. They've kind of played it safe with not killing off characters. I don't know if safe is the right word, but they're not. So I'm wondering if they're going to go back to that to give it some. You need the fear in it, right? You need to feel like, oh, is there is there stakes for real? And Grief Karga, like he's like the character that his death could. It might not make sense in the story because there's so much going on, obviously, and the Mandalorians are a big part of what's going on, and he's not a big part of that at all. But I don't know. It's something to think about.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's sort of like I feel like perhaps it's not gonna focus a ton on it. I don't know. I think this Mandalore thing is a huge part of this series, and then like we also go to wherever Bo-Katan is. I'm sure it's somewhere, but it's like I was really cool to see her castle. Oh right, they go to the castle. But what planet do they go to for her castle?
It's a planet in the Mandalore system.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I like that she's just lounging, like, I'm going to sit here and sulk until I die.
Everyone left because you're a little cult. And I'm like, well, what do you need? What exactly do you need me to do? So I don't know. But yeah, that was cool. And it's like, because I know I was kind of worried that like, okay, like now we're not going to be friends with Bo-Katan anymore because we have the Darksaber, but now it seems like Bo-Katan is like not feeling it anymore. So perhaps like part of the storyline is getting her involved again. I don't know. So and then we get mentioned of Moff Gideon as well, going along with wherever Cara Dune has gone to. So it's like, but Giancarlo Esposito is in this season, correct?
He is, and he actually months ago said that that's where Moff Gideon was. It was funny because he said that, and then Grief Karga basically said exactly what he said. So I feel like Disney hasn't been paying him the keep quiet checks. So pay attention to what Giancarlo Esposito says, because it sounds like he doesn't lie. He just says it like it is. If you ask him, he will tell you, and you'll just laugh it off like, oh. Yeah. But he's actually the most honest person in Hollywood.
Yeah. But like the big thing from this episode, or maybe not the big thing, but one of the things that like all the Star Wars sites like glommed onto. So like, why you need to know what Purgles are? Like, what did you think of that? Like that scene?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, that was a callback to Rebels. Erin had no idea what was going on. She frankly didn't care. It looked cool. Like that was the thing, is I knew what they were. I didn't bother telling her because then I just sound like a loser. Yeah. But she watches it, and she just is like, Baby Yoda's looking at, like, that's just how it would be. Like, if they're there, it's kind of like if you see dolphins in the water, right? It's a little bit more spectacular than nothing. And so for the average viewer, I think most of them probably just looked at it like that, like, oh, this is a nice moment. It was also a moment because the episode was 38 minutes. I like I said, I thought it felt a little bit like it cut off at the end, but it just kept going, and it was a nice spot for it to just stop and take a breath and be like, hey, this is the ride. We're on this ride. Let's enjoy it. Look at these space whales, because we're probably going to be reintroduced them in like Ahsoka or something, because I'm confident Ezra and Thrawn, maybe like they're like Pinocchio and they're in the space whale. Ahsoka's got to go in it. But like, so they might come back, they might not, but it was just a nice moment. And again, Brock, what I just said a minute ago, if you have something that makes sense, just to reuse it. Just reuse it. Like, this is what we're in this.
Yeah.
This is why we watch Star Wars. It's nice to have new things, but if you have something that's already there, bring it.
Exactly. No, I thought it was well done. Like, like I agree with you kind of there. Like, I hope never, like, perhaps we'll see something in Ahsoka, but maybe we'll never see anything of Purgles and Mando again. And I'm like, that'd be genius. It's just like, we see you, we know you watch the things.
Yeah, but I mean, they're in space and these things fly in space, so why not?
Yeah,
nice moment. It was a nice moment.
Solid episode. I wish it was longer, but I get it. I think it was just sort of like, here's where we're going. If you don't know what happens, like, here you go. Now we're going. Like, let's go all in. So they got 6 more episodes to do it.
How many episodes is season 2? I thought it was 8, but then I think it's 7.
I think Heidi just said something about episode 6 and 7. She thinks like that could be 2 episodes with no Mando and just Boba Fett, which would be a fair trade. So that's where I got 6 and 7. So
I would, if they did that. The balls.
Oh.
The holocrons that they would have to do something like that would be unbelievable. I don't think they would, but the holocrons you would have to have. What's the fruit in Rebels? The Chocolate fruit. What's that? What's that fruit? That's what we should start saying.
Malura, they're everywhere. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I is this a show? No, it was Andor that was like every time I try to guess what's gonna happen next, it's always the wrong thing.
It's April 19th is the last episode.
Oh,
a dark day. Gonna be a dark day in Jimmy's house.
Malura fruit is what we're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, right. Malura fruit.
Malura.
What did you think of Swamp Thing?
I liked it. I liked it a lot, even though it's just like this is totally made up by Dave Filoni. Like, what if he had like Moss face? And he was
what if they were probably like walking down like the Werewolf by Night set one day and they're like, oh, look at that man thing. We need a man thing. All right.
Yeah.
He should be a pirate. All right.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And like it looks so good. It's just like it's ridiculous how it looks, but like it looks great.
And he'll be back. He'll be back. Hi, Shady White Guy. He will be back because this episode was setting everything. Like, it was clear that it was setting things up to play out later on down the road. By the way, can I point out, Brock, I'm in a different room than I'm normally in. And
You're not on the Millennium Falcon?
Here's the thing. I'm sitting on a futon. And it's like, I don't know how to not be comfortable on it, but I feel like I'm Jabba the Hutt, like the way I'm sitting. So I just want you to know, like, that's all I got. And I've got this like ring light in front of me. Look. Oh, my hand is see-through. It's a ring light. Yeah, right. I don't know. That's how I'm lit today. It's a ring light making this background behind me pop. Oh, you want to believe? Anyway, great. Yeah, the Purgle space. I just call them space whales when they show up because that's what I call them. And that's what they are, the space whales. And I was like, oh, space whales. And Aaron had no idea. And I was content with letting her not know what they were or anything else. Because I don't need to go down that road. Yeah. I don't need, because then I'd be like, and then Ezra and Thrawn are taken by the space. And it's like, no.
Yeah, Disney puts out a good point. Like, it's like after Andor, we really spoiled with long seasons. So it's like, yeah, only 7 for like arguably like one of the better Star Wars shows. It's like, come on, man, come on, make more.
I get it again. But the thing is also there was 3 episodes at once. So really, you only had 9 weeks of Andor.
That's true. That's true. You're right.
But again, to my point, if this season works out like that, if it plays out the way that it did this week, maybe like they gotta look at maybe like a new release structure or something. I don't know. I just like, okay, Disney just brought up Obi-Wan was chopping one up. Oh, Space Whale? Is that what he was chopping up? Is that what or a Melroot? Anyway, look, here's the thing. Obi-Wan was 6 episodes. That should have been a movie, I think. I think Obi-Wan would have benefited from being a movie. I think Andor would have benefited from being 3 episodes at a time. Book of Boba Fett probably all at once, or at least the first few at a time. Mandalorian, I never felt this way till now, and I just they maybe you start to rethink your release structure. I mean, they won't because they want you weekly, but like Andor, if they released Andor 3, that's 4 weeks. Maybe that's not enough. So, but I don't know. Like at some point, some people I think are going to just wait and binge it all at the end anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I totally get it.
Especially if it plays out like this, where it's like every week it's not even a cliffhanger. It's just like, we're back next week.
We're
like
back,
it just
baby.
stops. It just stops. I think people are just gonna wait to binge it. So what's better for these streaming services? Is it putting them sporadically, or is it weekly, or is it all at once? And I think every show is very different, because I do not think Stranger Things works weekly. I think that is all at once. You watch it at your own pace. And because I think if you watch that weekly, it's not as entertaining. I don't think it's just the structure of the show. It's not a knock on the show. It's like it's like a movie. If you break up a movie into pieces, it's not going to fit. And that's how I think Andor fits better if you watch it in those arcs, right? And you know how I feel about Andor. It's like a 1 out of 10. It's pretty terrible, but I'm joking. I love it. But like, I still think it would have benefited from a different release structure.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's.
And I
hard
hate
to
binging.
say, Yeah. But I agree with you about like stuff like certain shows like Stranger Things. Like, it's release it all, because people are gonna go crazy for it. Though, like, I just know my experience with Stranger Things. Like, Reham and I watched a certain pace, but then of course as it got more and more exciting, we're like, let's watch the next one. Like, so.
But that's how that show's built.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Like it's built for you to watch it and then just keep watching it. Whereas Mandalorian was really built as a weekly episodic show.
I think we always come at each show differently, like individually. Like, I'm watching it in the dark at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Like, it's like, that's just my thing. I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. I love it. But I'm sure there's people that don't do that. Some people just watch it on their phone as they're sitting on a train going to work, So
I do hate the 3 a.m. East Coast time.
So, yeah.
Can't stand it. Only because, like I said, like the West Coast watches it at midnight. So by 12:38 a.m., it's spoiled everywhere. And for me, that's 3:38 a.m. And I can tell you what I'm not doing: watching TV at that time, because I'm old and I have work in the morning.
Yeah, that too.
There's a whole thing going on in the chat about what Obi-Wan was chopping up, but I'm not going to go because I don't know. All I know is I did love this episode, Brock. What else did he do in this one? The IG-11 stuff. We'll see how that plays out. Loved Babu Frick species. And I absolutely loved Grief Karga saying what they were saying. I was like, when it was I was like, this is great. How do you not how miserable do you have to be to just sit there and not just have a good time watching that? Do you know? It's not it's not Shakespeare. He's wearing a mask and the guy's wearing a cloak. Like who cares? Like, I thought it was a fun banter, it was a fun sequence, and that is why I pay $400 a month for Disney Plus or whatever I'm paying now.
It's a bad baby. You'll get new droid, much better.
Great sequence. All right, you want to go to the odds?
Let's do it.
I don't have the music for it.
Tell me the odds. What are the odds? Never Tell Me the Odds, brought to you and me and everyone in the general vicinity by patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. If you would like to support us, if you would like to hear us talk about something you probably watched 24 hours ago and you have no interest in hearing what we have to say, why don't you go down to patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast and become one of the many, many few that we graciously are gracious. I'm using the same word over and over again for their constant support. And those people are the following: Heidi Feder, executive producer, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Stanforth, Rez, Scott D, and Josh Price.
Matt W., Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Disney, Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Dennis, and Dale Erdman. Shout out to those of you on our list who are in the chat. I hated The Rise of Skywalker, but I loved Babu Frick.
Absolutely.
Well, my parents have just watched all of the Star Wars movies, Brock, for no reason. My dad's like, hey, what's that? What did he say? Like, what's that Star Wars movie? I'm like, The Rise of Skywalker. He goes, yeah. Is it on? How do I watch it? I'm like, it's on Disney. He goes, have I seen it? I was like, we saw it in the theater. He's like, yeah, I gotta watch it. They watched all of them over the span of whatever. And then he goes, all right, that was the worst one of them all. I was like, okay. He goes, yeah, he was like, unoriginal, no thought put into it, just terrible. And I was like, oh, so you liked it better than The Last Jedi? He goes, which one's that one? I go, the one before it? He didn't watch The Last Jedi. He somehow missed it. So he's going back to watch that one. I don't know how he missed it. They're all on Disney. So I have to find out what he thought, because I know how he felt about The Last Jedi when we saw it in the theater, and I don't think he's seen it since. Oh, yeah, because he goes, is that the one with Pouty Luke? I was like, yes, that's a... He goes, oh, all right, maybe that's the worst one. I got to watch it. So right now, the tally is Rise of Skywalker is his least favorite Star Wars movie of them all. We should point out before we get to the odds, we're going to be doing a March Madness soon. So Patreon, pay attention for March Madness of Star Wars characters.
Ooh.
There's going to be a free-for-all. Yeah, Dale Ehrman just said the rumor that I heard. So if you don't want to know what I heard, don't read the chat. Here we go. First odd, Cara Dune will return in a later season of The Mandalorian. Maybe not season 4, maybe not 5, maybe 6. Maybe Cara Dune shows up in 8 or 9. Maybe she's a droid. Maybe she gets the Boba Fett Fennec Shan thing and she's like half droid and they get a different actress to play her. Or maybe it's just Cara Dune. I don't know.
Later on, even if it's next season, I could see it possibly. I don't know. Like, it's like, are we still mad? I'm unsure. Cara Dune did anything. Gina Carano did something. So it's like, maybe we can separate those two different things. But that's a debate for later. I'm gonna say 65%. Because
yeah, I'm gonna go. Sorry, go on. Okay.
No, that's it.
I'm gonna
65%.
go. I'm gonna go full Brock because I don't know what she did. It might have been really bad, but again, you could get somebody else to play Cara Dune, whatever. But I'm gonna go full Brock because I can see them not bringing her back, but I also feel like they left. But if you listen to all of the people talk about who their favorite cast member was, they always said, "What's her face?" So if the actors liked her, you've got to think that the creatives that were writing it, Jon Favreau and Filoni, and they probably liked her as well. And so they're leaving the door open to bring her back in. And so that's why I'm going to go full Brock, because I don't like, again, no, I mean, if she said it did something terrible for real, then it is. If she just did something terrible that, people do online, how come you can't forgive anyone anymore? I mean, no one's allowed to grow. Anyway, whatever. If you make a mistake when you're 10 years old, not that she said, you can't anymore, Brock. It's upsetting. Anyway, who cares? She can't act. Din will not make it to Mandalore this season. Din Djarin will not make it to Mandalore this season.
I'm gonna go 10%. Like, come on.
Hold on. Dale was at Celebration. He's rubbing it in our face. What did you say? You cut out on my end.
10%, I think. Yeah.
we will not make it to Mandalore. I kind of want to go 90. Here's why. I feel like Favreau's the kind of guy who's like, he's going to go to Mandalore, and then the whole season, he never makes it there. But I'm going to go 40%, because he's going to Mandalore this season. And our next on Moff Gideon will escape. Our final on Moff Gideon will escape.
Will oh, 75%.
We're all breaking up.
I'm back. Here I am.
Yeah,
Wait,
we're just
I
like
said I'll go 75%.
75%? Okay, cool. I'm going to go 91%. I mean, why not? He's got to escape. 91%. I haven't got 90 in like years, so. Gail Edmonds just like, he knows it all. He's in there. So those are our odds. Let us know what your odds are in the comments below or to the side. Shady white guy, RIP Brock's internet. I love it. All right, Brock, you got the news? Hopefully.
Yeah, hold on a sec. Yeah, I do.
Hollow news, da 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 da. Hollow news, da 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 da. Hollow doo doo. My mic is off the news.
All the news you need to know right now. As I open my notepad, there we go. Happy, sad, confused. Anthony Mackie showed he was enthused about his love of the character of Boba Fett and his desire to become part of the Mandalorian world in some way. He said, at the time they were shooting, I wasn't available. Now I'm trying to get in one of those roles in the background where they're doing the thing, and I take off in helmet and go, that was a long flight. That's it. That's all I want is one scene. I just want everyone to know that I was one of them. Apparently, Anthony Mackie is a huge Boba Fett fan to the point that he has his own Boba Fett helmet, and he shared that on the podcast. So check that out if you want to hear more of what he has said. Lego has revealed an impressive-looking 630-piece Executor Superstar Destroyer buildable set ahead of the 40th anniversary of Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi. It is not a trap. You really can pre-order the set for $69 US dollars, USD, or $59.99 European pounds, UK pounds. I don't know what we call it. Straight from the Lego store, and have it shipped from May 1st. Just as if it's come out of hyperspace, this set has a kind of come out of nowhere that set has kind of come out of nowhere. Now that not that we're complaining. It's built for your display, and that really comes across with the imposing figure it possesses. This could be the Lego set you're looking for. It's great for both fans of Lego and collectors alike, whether you're in the market for your next build or you're looking for a gift for the Jedi Master in your life. It measures a whopping 17 inches in length, 5.5 inches in height, and 7 inches in width. So it's an imposing figure no matter where you display it. And in the wake of The Mandalorian Season 3 coming out this week, Xbox has teamed up with Lucasfilm to create a new gaming gear modeled after Din Djarin Grogu in a massive one-of-a-kind gaming station modeled after Grogu's hovering pram. The dynamic duo at the heart of the first Star Wars live-action series has inspired a new Xbox Series X and Series S consoles and controllers. Series X features the Mandalorian's sleek Beskar armor, while Grogu Series S is the perfect companion, painted green with new art featuring the fan favorite youngling. A matching green controller can be glimpsed snugly swaddled in a special edition hoodie modeled after Grogu's signature oversized jacket. Fans around the globe can enter for a chance to win these new gaming consoles and controllers by retweeting the official sweepstakes tweet anytime from March 1st through March 11th. To enter for a chance to win, United States fans can enter the Xbox Prime XL sweepstakes via Microsoft Rewards from March 16th through May 11th. And this has been your Hollow News.
Hello, news.
And you're back.
I am back. Great news. Great news. Wow. Did you hear the news?
Boom.
I heard the news
And, you know,
today.
it was kind of a gift that we delayed a day because there was no news outside of Mandalorian is back.
Well, I think Anthony Mackie should join, become a Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and maybe he's in it. I don't know. I like Anthony Mackie. He's great. He's in some great movies. I don't know if you've ever seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but he's in that, and he's fantastic. By the way, that's the movie. I got to be honest. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter on Disney Plus is a movie I recommend to everybody. I say you need to watch Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and everybody has this reaction of shut up. And then they watch it and they're like, wow, James, probably top 10 movie. Because they don't say top 10, but everybody enjoys it. You know why? Because it's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Top 5. I'm trying to get you to watch Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter with Anthony Mackie. and Tony Stark's dad, the young version of Tony Stark's dad. And the high elf guy from the Rings of Power is Abraham Lincoln. Like, I mean, if you're not watching this movie, I don't know what. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I own it, and it's on Disney Plus. I watch it both times.
The only non-Marvel Anthony Mackie vehicle I will watch is the Adjustment Bureau, and I won't hear anything else.
No, he's in Detroit, and he's actually phenomenal in Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit, underrated movie.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 moments from Mando Chapter 17, The Apostate. I am now an apostate. Oh, Mando, you might be an apostate, but not here. I thought they were saying prostate. It's not even making sense. My number 5, Baby Yoda spinning in the chair. Wee. I'm back, baby. Baby Yoda.
My number 5 is going to be the quacking monkeys in the tree, and you're like, what a time to be alive.
So good. My number 4, The Pirate Chase in Space. I really liked it. Whatever. That's why I watched Star Wars. Dig it.
Yeah, my number 4 is going to be the gator turtle that Heidi called King Bowser earlier in the show, or King Koopa. Yeah, that was just visually looked awesome.
It did. It was phenomenal. My number 3 is IG-11 trying to kill Grogu.
That's my number 3 as well. It's just like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, IG-11, you're back.
By the way, can we, like, the elephant, can we bring up the elephant in the room? IG-11 and Mando are both told to grab the baby, dead or alive, right?
Yeah.
Dead or alive, or kill it. So IG-11's like, I got to kill this. But then, like, everybody wants the baby. So is that just like like, did they miss something there? I feel like something was missed. Like, they changed what they were doing with the baby while they wrote it. So anyway, Mandalorian sucks. Number 2, his name's Grogu. If you say so. Because here's the thing, they did that in Book of Boba Fett too with Pelimoto, where she was like, Grogu, that's a horrible name. It's like I like that they're acknowledging that that is what we're all thinking. It's like Grogu, although it's growing on me.
We're at what? Number 2? Number 2 is gonna be Grief Karga translating what the Azellans, Azellans are saying. The whole scene is wonderful, but that is really funny. And it's like, I think it's funny because it's like you can understand kind of what they're saying already, but then also he's crouched down. Which like Carl Weathers is an older gentleman. That's what they make him do. I'm like, come on. Come on now.
It was probably like a platform and he was standing and they had fake knees sticking out.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the Friendly Giant. All right, and my number 1 is the Mando chase with Killer Croc. I enjoyed that the best. That was a lot of fun. That's why I'm here for Star Wars. And by the way, the music, it's no longer Ludwig.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the guy who did Book of Boba Fett, and I thought the music was fine. It was seamless. It was a seamless transition, and I was okay with that. So my number 1 is just the fighting because that's what I'm here for. I I don't care about story or plot. I care about the spectacle, and you delivered. Thank you.
My number one is gonna be the Purgles. It's just a cool scene in general. Like we get to see like just Grogu and Mando in hyperspace in that Naboo starfighter. Like it looks cool already, and then he's like, it's just sort of again Filoni just being like, I can do whatever I want. And it's like, okay. I said to you in text, it's like if Tony Gilroy and Dave Filoni could just be smashed together, we'll have like the best Star Wars movie ever. Like it'll be Dune.
Absolutely.
It'll be like the new Dune. You're like, wow, that looks awesome, and that's a real story. Like not that Star Wars isn't a real story, but you know what I mean? Like it's just like, ooh, that's very, very relatable, but very, very like futuristic.
I have to admit something to you.
Yeah, but watch Dune.
I got 20 minutes into Dune.
It's very long. It's the same with the book.
I said, this is beyond my comfort zone. And I haven't gone back because I have a level of nerdism I can go to. Star Wars, Star Trek. I'm sure there's something here. But like Game of Thrones, when you start putting dragons and things, and Dune, I couldn't do it. I was gonna say. I just couldn't get there. It's not nerdism. I'm joking about that word, but like there's like a sci-fi fantasy breaking point for me, and there's a lot. Trust me, that I go past it like every '80s fantasy film, but like I just can't. I just couldn't do it. I try. I really wanted to because I like Denis Villeneuve a lot, and I thought it looked great, and I just was like, I'm gonna watch Sicario again. That was like,
you know what? I'm gonna be a little bit more depressed.
but the thing is it was really well made. Like what I saw was really well made. It's just it was not made for me, and that sometimes you have to acknowledge that it's not for you, and instead of it's like I didn't go online and bash it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that people like it. It's just not
okay.
for me.
It's all right to have your opinion. I was like, for a second there, I thought you were gonna say like I like Game of Thrones. I'm like, Game of Thrones is Dune in the sand. Like it's exactly the same idea.
And I can't watch it either. There's like a level. I don't know what it is, but there's something when it hits it. Yeah. I just can't. There's other movies too. I'm not gonna name them all, but like it gets to a point. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
It's okay. Don't be afraid. Fear is the mind killer. Boom. That's from Dune, bitch.
When I was a kid, I had a Dune making of book from the David Lynch movie, and I've never seen that movie. And I was just like, why is I didn't know what it was, and I think my grandma got it for me. She's like, it's like Star Wars. I'm like, what the hell? And I remember just like I would look at those books for weeks. I love making of books when I was in the 80s. I had Ghostbusters, but I remember just looking at it like, what the hell is this? Yeah. And to this day, I've never seen that movie, and the new one I was very excited to. I couldn't do it. It's on me. It's on me. I just couldn't. I appreciate that it's a good movie. I believe it is. It's just like I said, it's not for me. It's like Can't Hardly Wait is for me.
Yeah, you like 10 movies. I get it. That's it. If you don't like Dune, podcast over.
But Dune is Star Wars. No, I bet again. Like it's just not for this guy right here.
Dazzy. I fell asleep for Dune, and then I bought the Dune book, but haven't been able to get through. I'm like, yeah, Dune is a slog. I read the second Dune, and I was just like, good Lord, this book. And then it just like, this is what Frank Herbert does in all these Dune books, where it's just like all this talking, and you're like, when is something going to happen? And then the last like 2 to 3 chapters, you're like, oh, that's cool. So it's like Terminator 3, where you're like, I don't know why they made this movie. And then it ends, and you're like, oh, that was cool. Can we get another movie?
And then they said no. And then they got
no.
Can't Hardly Wait is a classic. What a phenomenal film in every regard.
Trip
McNeely. Wear flip-flops in the shower. Got warts all over
She's dating a pre-med. They are.
Peanut strawberries Pop-Tart, the exact same breakfast pastry I was consuming at that. What a great movie. We need to just watch. That should be our next podcast.
Yeah.
Can't hardly wait. We just lost. Everyone just was like, what are you guys talking
That
about?
one is like impossible to find on streaming. I'm sure it exists somewhere, but I do not know. I think I looked it up and it's like easier to just buy it.
Yeah, and it's only like I haven't bought it on digital because I have it on DVD and VHS. And I wanted the VHS so bad, Brock, that I bought it way back in the time when I had to buy it used because it wasn't out new yet. So I bought a used copy of it because I couldn't. That's my VHS copy of Canley. I was one of the 17 people that saw in the theater that summer. Phenomenal summer. Jerry O'Connell, Trip McNeely. What a great cast, though. Like, everybody went on to have a career for about 15 minutes. It was phenomenal. Just absolutely love it.
What's the main character's name? Ferris? No. What's Ethan Embry's character's name in it? Like the main guy.
It's now I can't remember you.
Not Ferris.
Ferris. Not why is it? It's not. It's not a hard name.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to quote the Jason Segel. I forgot Jason Segel's in that movie.
Yeah, I bet he's like that part in the trailer. He got cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
Preston. It's Preston.
Preston. Oh, I love Preston, man. He's
always
wearing t-shirts. Man, I love. Oh man, yeah. I tell my wife about that movie all the time, and she's like, "You've never seen that movie?" I'm like, "Oh," and she hasn't seen Goonies, but that's all.
There's Sabrina the Teenage Witch is in it. It's such a all around.
Hey.
Who else is in it? Oh, what's her face? Jamie Priestley, who went on to be something. She's in it. Seth Green, obviously the greatest actor of all time. Love Star Wars.
Breckin Meyer, Donald Faison.
Selma Blair.
Yes. Love burger.
Anybody order a love burger? Well done.
Don't screw this up.
I'm gonna wear the cowboy hat. Anyway, why are we doing this to ourselves? Let's end this show now. Everybody hates us. I love Dune, but it's a lot of world building.
Yeah.
This show I got. Yeah. I wouldn't know because I hit my peak, Brock. I hit my peak, and there was no
you do that in private.
I'm trying to think. Like, Dune was just too. It was too much for me. Couldn't get into it. Aaron wasn't into it at all. I was like, it's from the director of Sicario, and she's like, I don't care what this is. She's like, I can't do it. But I'm looking forward to the sequel.
It's Squeakle.
Squeakle. All right, Brock. We're gonna end the show. Anything else you want to say?
Watch Mando. Watch Bad Batch, because come on, guys, we gotta support local artists. But yeah, no, just Mando. Beautiful. It's an enjoyable episode, and nothing happens really. It's just sort of like, here we are, let's go. I mean, I guess it says LIG-11 is back. That's something.
Do you think Pedro Pascal was in Can't Hardly Wait? I feel like he was probably in there as like one of the partiers.
Yeah, like I love how everyone loves him now. It's like he was in Buffy. I'm like, whoa.
True story. I've seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer 3 times. The show, all 3 times, it was the exact same episode where they wear Halloween costumes and turn into the character of the Halloween costume. And it's like every time I turned it on in the 90s, it was that episode, and I've never watched it again because I'm like, they only made 1 episode. It's clear. I don't even know what's going on. That's the only episode I've ever seen.
There you go.
All right, Brock, let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe. If you like Can't Hardly Wait, give us a like and subscribe. And Brock, you were always Scum.
Rebel Scum.
Scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video.
Give us a like and a subscribe. Goodbye.